tails. Yang yang. One tail, two heads, yang yin. Two heads, one tail, yang yin. Two heads, one tail, yang yin. Three heads, old yang. Three tails, old yin. passage out of the Inner Teachings of Taoism, which is the essentials of self-transformation according to the Complete Reality School of Taoism, with commentary by I-ming. 24 Secrets of Alchemy. 1. Repair the alchemical workshop. Nourish the temporal, strengthen the physical body. To nourish the temporal is the point of departure. When vitality, energy, and spirit are vigorous, one can bear hunger and cold. Having cultivated the physical body until it is firm and strong, giving shelter from the rain and wind, it is good for refining the elixir. 2. Refine the self and set up the foundation. Overcome anger and lust, conquer the self and return to normalcy. Refining the self and mastering the mind are building the foundation. Mundane feelings and idle thoughts are all to be thrown away. When you have refined yourself to where it does not exist, you are imperturbable and unshakable and cannot be deluded by things. 3. Set up the crucible and furnace. Stabilize the will with firmness. Do the work with flexibility. Making the will firm and strong is setting up the crucible. Gradually progressing in the work is setting up the furnace. Firmness and flexibility are both used without imbalance, having prepared, work the fire, and the convergence according to the time. 4. Cull the medicines. Seek the real in the artificial. Pick the gold out of the sand. The great medicines are 3: vitality, energy, spirit. It is necessary first to distinguish the true from the false. The division between right and wrong is slight. Be careful not to mix them up. 5. Use lead to control mercury. When real knowledge is not obscured, conscious knowledge is not flighty. Another name for sense is true lead. Essence, light, and mercuric is represented as mercury. When you understand the method of bringing sense to stabilize essence, the human mentality does not arise, and the mind of Tao is complete. 6. The yellow woman harmonizes. When true intent does not scatter, yin and yang naturally harmonize. You should know that the true intent is the yellow woman. Truthfulness alone can harmonize the 4 forms. Aggregating the 5 elements uses its power. Perfecting the being and building life are not apart from it. 7. Lead and mercury intermingle. Essence goes to seek sense. Sense comes back to essence. Putting the lead in the mercury, sense returns to essence. Putting the mercury in the lead, essence cleaves to sense. When sense and essence merge without obstruction, there is no worry that the great way will not be accomplished. Eight. Work the fire to smelt and refine. Activate sane energy. Sweep out aberrant energy. Gentle cooking and fierce refinement are the methods of immortals. Fire comes forth in the spiritual furnace, yin and yang, burning away the 1,000 kinds of pollutants. And naturally, the great medicines emanate misty light. Nine. The restored elixir congeals. Firmness and flexibility balance each other. Essence and sense are as one. When essence and sense are unified, that is called the restored elixir. Bright and clear, reality and consciousness join into one whole. Having obtained the original priceless jewel, carefully guard it, Practice observation of the spirit. 10. Bathe and incubate. Do not let thoughts arise. Do not let attention scatter. Washing off defilement and dust is the method of bathing. Do not be negligent. Do not be forceful. Join yin and yang. When entanglements do not arise, the basis of the elixir is stable. Nurturing the spiritual root, the flower buds are fragrant. 11. The basis of the elixir becomes mature. Within black there is white. When quietude culminates, there is movement. Within black there is white, the herb of long life. Within darkness is concealed light, the life-prolonging tonic. Refining it into something crystal clear and pure, it penetrates heaven and earth with a ray of light. 12. Ingest the gold elixir. Gather the spirit into the room, transmuting earthliness. The elixir ingested does not come from outside. The refined real consciousness rests within. The internal organs produce light. Earthly energy is transmuted. Without confusion or obscurity, obstacles are broken through. 13. Move the furnace and crucible. The root source in hand, plant and nurture according to the time. The gold elixir in hand, there is true transmission. Moving the furnace and crucible is a mystery within a mystery. Henceforth, carefully cook the great medicine, refining the primordial within the primordial opening. 14. Congeal the spiritual embryo. All the spirit gathered, the 5 elements merge. The 5 energies return to the origin and gather on the spiritual pedestal. The primordial seed is already firmly planted. As though an idiot, as though drunk, as though deep asleep, in ecstasy and profound abstraction, you congeal the spiritual embryo. 15. Difficulty in the morning, darkness at night. Know the male, keep the female. Refine with the natural fire. Knowing the male, it is also necessary to keep the female. Steaming with water and fire is not a matter of the hour. There is naturally a pivot which turns over the trigrams. What is the need to make conscious effort? 16. Incubate the embryo. Like a hen sitting on an egg, like an oyster embracing a pearl. Concentrate single-mindedly, like a hen sitting on an egg. Be thoroughly sincere, like an oyster embracing a pearl. Hour after hour, quietly watch over the aperture of open awareness, to avoid letting water and fire be isolated in the furnace. 17. Forestall danger. Externally oblivious of the body, internally oblivious of the mind. Before celestial energy is thoroughly pure, there is still danger. As long as earthly energy is not exhausted, it is necessary to prevent peril. If the pollution of acquired conditioning is dissolved away, it can be guaranteed that the embryo will not be damaged. 18. In 10 months, the embryo is mature. Primordial energy is pure. Conditioning is evaporated. After 10 months of work, the embryo is finally mature. When conditioning is all dissolved, the primal is complete. Utterly pure and clean, there is nothing else. It is one naturalness, neither form nor void. 19. Wait for the time to break free. No thought, no doing, not obsessed, not indifferent. Basically, there is a time to break free, transformed. It will not do to be too early or too late. Truthfulness within reaches outside, not admitting force. When a melon is ripe, it naturally separates from the stem. The infant emerges, breaking through non-differentiation, leaping into nothingness. Keep still in the yellow court and nurture the valley spirit. With body complete and energy replete, the fire is stopped. With a peal of thunder, the gate of heaven opens, and out leaps the indestructible, immortal person. 21. Breastfeed for 3 years. Enlightened but not shining, illumined but not using it. When real consciousness is refined into a golden body, it never ever falls into the dust. Nursing it for 3 years, enlightened but not shining. Knowing before and understanding after, the sage is spiritual. 22. Exiting and entering at will. Body and spirit both sublimated, merging into reality with the Tao. Body and spirit both sublimated, equal to space, merging in reality with the Tao. All things are penetrated. Appearing, hiding, going against or along, no one can fathom it. Clustered there is form, dispersed the wind. 23. Facing a wall for 9 years. Neither being nor non-being stand. The universe is ultimately empty. 9 years facing a wall, who is there that knows? The work of entering the room does not depend on thought. The universe returns to emptiness. Ordinary and holy are gone. In the realm of silent serenity, the abode of immortals is built. 24. The child also produces grandchildren. Transformation without end. Unfathomable spiritual wonders. The child also produces grandchildren. Ordinary and sage are the same. The only distinction is in going along or coming back in reverse. Ancient immortals left the secret of a great elixir, with endless transmutations, getting through everywhere. These 24 secrets are steps of the process which must be thoroughly understood, as the slightest deviation produces a great miss. Since ancient times, the immortals and real people usually have not clearly indicated the order of the process. Concealing the mother and speaking of the children, they have just instructed people by means of metaphors and symbols, fearing pilferage by unsuitable people. Since I have received spoken instruction from a teacher, at the risk of making a mistake, I wish to reveal this teaching publicly to those who aspire to it. Even if one lacks the power to put it into practice, simply getting to hear about the great way is a measureless blessing. But such a great task requires people of great strength to carry it out. It also requires people to have great character in order to perform it. If one has great strength but lacks great character, there are likely to arise obstacles that will prevent accomplishment of the great way. Therefore, if one wants to traverse this path, one should first build character. For mediocre and lesser people, character is more important than the path, because if their virtue is not great, even if they can hear about the way, they cannot necessarily attain it. Students of the Tao should first recognize clearly what these topics mean, know the beginning and the end, when to hurry and when to relax. Only then will they have certain insight and avoid wasting effort. Our bottom hexagram, or bottom trigram in our primary hexagram is solid, broken, broken, which is Zen thunder. Thunder is shock, upheaval, and the spark of the new. In old Chinese belief, thunder slept in the earth over winter and erupted from it in spring, awakening living things into new growth. Thunder is our basic drive for renewal. He inspires initiative and decisive action. He is the stimulus that sets things in motion. He is the eldest son in the trigram family, the first connection of heaven, potential, with earth, realization. Yang makes itself known here, emerging into the field and beginning to grow. Thunder belongs to the east and to spring. And we will read our top trigram for our primary hexagram as broken, solid, broken, which is Con, deep water. Con, water. Con is deep water, flowing and formless. He is the complement of Li. Li is light and fire. It is the exact opposite. It would be solid, broken, solid, whereas this is broken, solid, broken. He is the complement of Li, dark where Li is bright, unconscious to her sharp lucidity, and represents a more fluid, intuitive, and emotional way of perceiving. This is danger, exposure, and solitude, and the need to respond with courageous self-reliance when confronted by the haunting unknown. Water is the middle sun, situated in the north, associated with midwinter and midnight. So our first hexagram will be water over thunder. Our fifth and sixth lines will transform. This is the fifth line. It will transform from a solid line to a broken line, from an old yang to a young yin. Our sixth line will transform from an old yin to a young yang. So we will read that trigram as broken, broken, solid once it transforms, which is Zun, wind or wood. Sorry, did I say broken, solid, solid? What I mean, if I did say that is broken, broken, solid, which is mountain. Jen, mountain. The mountain is still. It is a limit where you must stop. Jen brings each cycle to an end, defining a space where we can recognize, assimilate, and complete our experience. He creates a personal, still center amid change, where we can retreat for perspective and a firm foundation for new growth. He is well-grounded, confident, and of independent spirit. He is still and knows. Mountain is the youngest son, child of maturity. In the cycle of directions and seasons, he is the northeast, late winter approaching spring, the pivot between cycles. So when our primary hexagram transforms to a secondary hexagram, we will have mountain above thunder. How our primary hexagram, relating hexagram, and changing lines all relate to one another when we consult the oracle, the general question we will have is, how can I act in creative relation to the spirit and forces that shape this moment in time? The key to understanding a reading is to know your way around its main components, how they fit together, and the different roles they play. If your reading includes changing lines, then you will need to understand primary hexagram, relating hexagram, and changing lines together. The two hexagrams in conversation with one another map out your whole answer. The primary hexagram shows you quite directly what your answer involves. The relating hexagram generally describes what the answer is about for you. It sets the primary hexagram in a broader context, an influence, a direction of travel, an underlying issue that has to do with you and your relationship to it all. If the two hexagrams map out a landscape for you, then the changing lines stick a pin in that map to say, you are here, or at least, here are some places you may find yourself. They are the immediate answer to your question. As the most specific, focused part of a reading, their message always takes precedence over all other elements. For example, the primary hexagram might describe a reassuringly secure situation, but a changing line could warn how insecure your position is within it. Start out reading from I-ming's commentary on the I Ching, called the Taoist I Ching. He wrote it in 1796 as a Taoist adept. Our first, or primary hexagram, should have stayed in this book a little longer. Give me a second. Zen beneath Con 3. And our secondary hexagram will be $27. Three, difficulty. Beginning of the process of fostering the strength of primal energy. The difficult process of breaking out of acquired temporal conditioning and bringing the primordial to the fore. The process known as advancing the yang fire. $27. Lower jaw, nourishment. Discernment of good, becoming empty to seek fulfillment. We will start by reading I-ming's commentary of the I Ching and get our primary and secondary hexagrams and changing lines out of that. Then we'll flip to the back of the book to read some of his further Taoist commentary that is a little bit more Taoist in nature, if you ask me. Difficulty. Number 3. In difficulty, creativity and development are effective if correct. Do not use. There's a place to go. It is beneficial to set up a ruler. Explanation. Difficulty means having trouble progressing. As for the qualities of the hexagram, above is the pitfall of water, below the movement of thunder. Action in danger cannot easily get out of danger, so it is called difficulty. This hexagram represents starting the advancement of yang. It follows on the hexagram heaven. Heaven is the quality of strength. Advancement of yang is advancement of that strength. It is precisely because of not being strong that one promotes strength. The quality of strength is primordial real yang, the original true energy. When this energy mixes with acquired conditioning, it is concealed. But even though it is not manifest, it never completely disappears. Sometimes it does appear. But people are confused by things of the world, enveloped in wandering thoughts, so they miss it even when it is right there, unwilling to recognize reality. When this primal energy appears, this is what is called the living midnight in our bodies. At this time, we are merged in the qualities of heaven and earth, joined with the light of sun and moon, harmonized with the order of the four seasons. This is the gate of yin and yang, the door of life and death, the wellspring of essence and life, the root of strength and submission, the crucible for creating life, the alchemical furnace. This is the first hexagram after our mother and father hexagrams, the primal, or heaven and earth. Heaven is all solid lines, number 1. Earth is all broken lines. And they put the odds and evens in different areas. So 3 is the very first, like the child of heaven and earth. The original energy of primordial true yang is herein. Those who know it diligently cultivate it, restoring the primordial within the temporal. From vagueness it becomes clear. From one yang it gradually grows until it inevitably reaches the pure completeness of 6 yangs. This means that in difficulty, too, there is a path of creativity and development. However, people are restricted by temperament, influenced by accumulated habit. The primal energy of true yang is deeply buried. Even though there be a time of restoration, the true sane energy is weak and the aberrated energy is strong. As long as the true does not prevail over the false, it cannot immediately expand and rise. So it is a matter of carefully containing and securely storing it, preserving this living potential, not letting it be damaged by external influences, making it the basis of restoration. This is why the text says, effective if correct. And it also says, do not use, there is a place to go. Correctness is not vacant emptiness without action. Do not use does not mean there is absolutely nothing to do. But when you have done things by the human mentality for a long time, the mind of Tao is not manifest. Restoring the positive within negativity is action in danger. If you proceed recklessly, desirous of rapid progress, you will increase the danger. If you want to restore positivity, it is best to first correct the mind. When the text says, it is beneficial to set up a ruler, this symbolizes correcting the mind. The ruler is the leader of a country. The mind is the leader of the body. Set up a ruler and the difficulties of the nation can be gradually overcome. Rectify the mind and the perils of the body can gradually be dissolved. Once the mind is right, the root is firm, and the original energy does not dissipate. Then one can advance the fire, according to the time, gradually culling, gradually refining. Then what has been lost can be regained. What has gone can be restored. Benefit lies in correctness while in action. This action is not random action, but properly timed action. Then whatever is begun develops, and whatever develops bears fruit. What? $27. Now on to our supporting hexagram 27. Lower jaw, nourishment. In nourishment, it is good to be correct. Observe nourishment and seek fulfillment for the mouth by yourself. Explanation. The lower jaw moves whenever the mouth eats something. From that, it has the meaning of nourishing people. As for the qualities of the hexagram, above is mountain, still, and below is thunder, active. Action does not depart from stillness. Stillness nurtures action. Action is not random. Stillness is not vain. Action and stillness unified, it is therefore called nourishment. This hexagram represents choosing good and holding fast to it, becoming empty to seek fulfillment. It follows on the previous hexagram, fidelity. Fidelity involves strong action. Without the work of care and nurturance, action and strength cannot be appropriate, and fidelity thus errs. This is why the path of nourishment is important. Nourishment means nourishing what is right and getting rid of what is not right. What is right is beneficial to body and mind. What is not right is harmful to body and mind. Therefore, the path of nourishment requires correctness to be good. So, if you want nourishment to be correct, first you must observe whether the way of nourishment is true or false. Observing does not mean looking with the eyes. It means distinguishing in the mind what is so and what is not so, in order to find out truth. When truth is clear, then with real knowledge and lucid perception, in action one cultivates what is right, and in stillness one nourishes what is right. When one attains what is properly nurtured in both action and stillness, one can thereby seek fulfillment by oneself. It does not say seek food for the mouth, it says seek fulfillment for the mouth. It does not merely say seek fulfillment for the mouth, it says seek fulfillment for the mouth by yourself. This means what is sought is what is right, and what is fulfilled is what is important. It is not a matter of rich food, it is a matter of benevolence, justice, and enlightened qualities. But the way to fill oneself with benevolence and justice and taste enlightened qualities is all in seeking by oneself, not relying on others. One day, when you conquer yourself and return to true order, the whole world will revert to humanity. If you seek fulfillment, you find fulfillment. If you seek food, you find food. It is simply a matter of what you seek for yourself. The mouth is something empty inside. Fulfillment means satisfying filling. Emptying the mind, filling the belly. Emptiness and fullness correspond. When the time calls for action, you act, actively furthering yang. When the time calls for stillness, you remain still, quietly using yin. Cultivating the external by action, nurturing the internal by stillness. Unconstrained by action or stillness, inwardly and outwardly merging with the Tao. Stillness as ever, nurturing, action also nurturing. Action and stillness consistently correct. Ultimately, one can perfectly attain the great Tao, auspiciously completing it. Those who consider the harm of hunger and thirst to be harmful to the mind all nurture the small and lose the great. This could be called seeking food by oneself, but it could hardly be called seeking fulfillment by oneself. Once one has lost true fulfillment, how could it be called nourishment? Now to read changing lines 5 and 6 from our primary hexagram 3 difficulty. These changing lines will have general context attached to them. So, changing line 5 will be in the general context of strength and self-determination, clear vision, being in command. It's the line of the ruler. Line 6 is beyond the main action, reviewing experience, asking what comes next. It's like the higher self. Or I suppose you might call it the mind. Stalling the benefits, rectitude in small matters is good. Self-righteousness in great matters brings misfortune. Changing line 5. Explanation. The firmness of yang centrally balanced, the spiritual embryo takes on form. One has filled the belly, and it is as though one has received benefit. However, though the spiritual embryo has formed, negative energy has not yet withdrawn, and one is still in danger. This is like stalling the benefits. At this point, striving ends and non-striving comes to the fore. Therefore, propriety in small matters is good, while self-righteousness in great matters brings misfortune. This is being great but conscious of the small, waiting for the time to be able to get out of difficulty. Changing line 6. Mounted on a horse, not going forward, weeping tears of blood. Explanation. At the end of difficulty, this is now the time to get out of difficulty. Weak and helpless, one is astride a horse but does not go forward and has no whip in one's hand. Though true yang is in view, one still cannot get it oneself and weeps tears of blood. Of what use is it in fact? This is being small and incapable of greatness, having difficulty even when there is no difficulty. Generally speaking, in the course of opening the fire, advancing yang, it is necessary to know the proper timing. By knowing the time to take the medicine, using the temporal to restore the primordial, one can get out of difficulty. One can resolve difficulty. If you do not know the proper timing and go too far, or not far enough, real yang will be trapped by negative energy and will not be able to get out. This is why the statement of the hexagram says that creativity and development are effective if correct. Only when correct can they be effective. When effective, the creativity leads to development. Creativity and development that are effective by correctness mean waiting for the appropriate time to get out of difficulty. And now hexagram 3 from I-ming's commentary. Water above, thunder below. Thunder in the clouds is held back. The superior person orders and arranges. Difficulty means being held back. The reason water on the top of the hexagram is here referred to as clouds rather than water is that rain falls from clouds. When thunder rumbles in the clouds and there is already the sense of rain, but the rain has not yet begun to fall, just when yin and yang have intertwined and are about to bring to pass what has not yet been possible, this is the image of difficulty. What superior people see in this is that primordial celestial energy is trapped by the force of mundane conditioning, and though it occasionally becomes manifest, it is inhibited and cannot come forth freely. Without effort to foster the celestial and control the mundane, it is hard to gain access to this primal energy, and easy to lose it, missing it even when it is right there. Therefore, based on its manifest action, the superior person orders and arranges the primordial celestial energy in the sense of cultivating and maintaining it. To order means to harmonize the celestial and the earthly. To arrange means to adjust their relative proportions. Order without proper arrangement cannot perfect anything. Knowledge of the ingredients without knowledge of the process cannot accomplish the Tao. At the point where one yang arises on the ground of water, the passage of contact of earth and heaven, the dividing bridge of life and death, the moment when both disaster and good fortune are possible, practitioners of Tao should quickly set to work, take command, carefully guard the budding awareness, and not let it be harmed by invasion of the force of mundanity. When you gather the celestial energy as it grows, working uninterruptedly, ordering and arranging, promoting the primal and minimizing the secondary, knowing when to stop at sufficiency. If you do not slip up, even though the celestial energy does not come through at first, eventually it will unfold and expand, like thunder rumbling in the clouds, sweet rain falling of itself. This is what is meant by the saying, after a long darkness, the light is brilliant. Hmm. "27. Jaws. Mountain above, thunder below." Sometimes he has a different title in the back or translation. So we had lower jaw before, or nourishment, but in the back it calls it jaws. Mountain above, thunder below. There's thunder beneath the mountain. Superior people are careful about what they say and moderate in eating and drinking. Jaws has the meaning of taking nourishment. Above is mountain, below is thunder. There's thunder beneath the mountain. A mountain is still. Thunder is active. Using stillness to nurture activity, activity being based on stillness, is like the upper jaw being still while the lower jaw moves, stillness awaiting movement. This is the image of jaws, meaning nourishment. What the superior people see in this is that the mouth is a passageway through which things may exit or enter, and it is the door of right and wrong, the root of calamity and fortune. Therefore they are careful about what they say, and they are moderate in eating and drinking. Speech is the voice of the mind. When speech is correct, the mind is correct, and when speech is incorrect, the mind is incorrect. Every word should be spoken only if it is of benefit to the course of the world and to people's minds. Speech should be guarded and not uttered at random. Food and drink are important to the body. If food and drink are appropriate, they benefit the body. And if food and drink are not appropriate, they harm the body. Food and drink should be taken only after consideration of the reason. One should not crave too much, and should be moderate in eating and drinking. When one is careful of speech, then the mind has nourishment. When one is moderate in eating and drinking, then the body has nourishment. When mind and body both have their nourishment, inside and outside are free from injury, then nature and life can be cultivated. This is what is meant by the saying, when one eats at proper times, the body is healthy. When one acts at the appropriate moment, the course of affairs runs smoothly. This wand is willow. It's associated with the moon, or potentially the crown chakra. Hexagram 3 she calls or translates to sprouting. Key questions. What is beginning? Where's the growing center, and where can you find help for it? Oracle. Sprouting from the source, creating success, constancy bears fruit. Don't use this to have a direction to go, fruitful to establish feudal lords. Sprouting is the very beginning, a growing center, putting out roots into the unknown and breaking through the hard soil. Inner life reaches out into the world, experiencing resistance for the first time. The creative drive of heaven and earth joins together and grows. It's tiny, scarcely born, but burgeoning with life and a great desire to attain full growth. It's far too early yet to narrow all the possibilities down to a single destination. Just as a plant sends out roots in all directions, a new ruler needs to set up a network of feudal lords. These are an image for helpers, human or otherwise. Everything that brings you support and expands your sphere of awareness and influence. In exploring all possibilities, you enrich and strengthen the center as growth begins. Image. Clouds, thunder, sprouting. A noble one weaves warp and weft. At the beginning, clouds and thunder swirl together in a creative ferment. The creative impulse rises like thunder and flows out into the world's confusion. The word for warp, threads, also means a canonical text and a channel where energy flows. These are the first principles. You can weave all the colors of experience into the structure they provide, translating creative chaos into a creative order. Sequence. There is heaven and earth, and so the 10,000 things are born. Overflowing the space between heaven and earth, the 10,000 things, and so sprouting follows. Sprouting means filling to overflowing. Sprouting means the beginning of things, birth. The sequence of the hexagram is born here. From heaven and earth, hexagrams 1 and 2. This is a time of intense, overwhelming creativity. Pair. Sprouting forms a pair with hexagram 4, not knowing. Sprouting, seeing, and not letting go your dwelling place. Not knowing, disordered and also clear. You are like a new king, surveying the realm without leaving his home at its center. Or you are like an infant who contemplates the world from the security of her cradle. Staying centered, you always know where you are. There will be time later to discover how much you don't know. Hexagram 27, Nourishment. Key questions. What would nourish you? How is your hunger motivating you? If you accept this as nourishment, who will you become? Oracle. Nourishment. Constancy brings good fortune. See the jaws. Your own quest for something real to fill your mouth. Literally, this hexagram is called jaws. It means not only what you eat, but all the processes and structures that sustain nourishment. It includes all forms of nourishment: physical, social, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, all creating and recreating an individual ecosystem to sustain and shape you. Constancy brings good fortune, steady, clear persistence in honoring what truly sustains you. Yi calls on you to see the jaws, to become aware. How do you habitually nourish yourself and others? What deep instincts are at work here? What real nourishment are you seeking? Image. Below the mountain is thunder, nourishment. A noble one reflects on his words in conversation. and is discriminating about what he eats and drinks. The sound of thunder under the mountain echoes and re-echoes and is slow to fade away. The words you speak are the same. You put them into circulation, and they become part of the constant flow of nourishment among people. The same flow that nourishes you in the end. A noble one pays careful attention to both giving and receiving, how he nourishes others, and what he will accept as nourishment from others. You don't have to swallow every opinion you are offered. Sequence. Nourishment follows from Hexagram 26, Great Taming. Things are tamed, and so there can be nurturing, and so nourishment follows. Nourishment means nurturing. Naturally, to nourish people, you need good farmers. The truths you choose to nurture and cultivate in your life become the foundation of your personal ecosystem. They are your basic nourishment and the energy source for your creative action. Pair. Nourishment is paired and contrasted with Hexagram 28, Great Exceeding. Nourishment nurtures correctly, Great Exceeding overbalances. To grow into your whole self, you create a harmonious, balanced cycle of mutual nourishment. Yet this growth will eventually outgrow the framework that sustained it. And then changing lines and sprouting. So we have nourishment for the sprouting. Sprouting is the most general, and nourishment or jaws or lower jaw nourishment is our supporting hexagram, setting the general context of the oracle's message into what it means for us, and sets the general context into a direction of travel, and say, this is where you may find yourself. Well, actually, these changing lines are that this is where you may find yourself. They put a pin in the map saying you are here, or at least you may find yourself in this. Line 5, sprouting's juice. Small constancy, good fortune. Great constancy, pitfall. The seedling draws nourishment from its roots to revitalize its growth. Such rich energy is best used with loyalty to yourself and to principle, with a constancy fitting for the open, innovative spirit of the time. Small constancy stays true to the idea, but is flexible about the way forward, finding the lines of least resistance through intelligent sensitivity to the environment. Great constancy insists on implementing the idea as envisaged. It knows the way, and nothing else will do. Young plants use their energy to grow soft leaves and stems, not solid trunks. That line had the general context of strength and self-determination, clear vision, being in command. And the next supporting line we'll read will be 6, beyond the main action, reviewing experience, asking what comes next. Line 6. Now driving a team of horses, now tears of blood flow. The suitor drives out with his best horses, but there is no bride here for him to find. Pouring out the best of yourself in a concerted effort to forge ahead, you find no response, and your energy drains away. You're overextended, too narrowly focused on a single direction and forgetting what a well-rooted relationship feels like. Hmm. 37 and 13. Out of the Tao to Ching. 37. Tao abides in non-action, yet nothing is left undone. If kings and lords observed this, the 10,000 things would develop naturally. If they still desired to act, they would return to the simplicity of formless substance. Without form there is no desire. Without desire there is tranquility. And in this way, all things would be at peace. (13) Accept disgrace willingly. Accept misfortune as the human condition. What do you mean by accept disgrace willingly? Accept being unimportant. Do not be concerned with loss or gain. This is called accepting disgrace willingly. What do you mean by accept misfortune as the human condition? Misfortune comes from having a body. Without a body, how could there be misfortune? Surrender yourself humbly. Then you can be trusted to care for all things. Love the world as your own self. Then you can truly care for all things. This is alder. I think its planetary association is Neptune. The staff is Rowan. Planetary associations would be the Sun and Mercury.